Okay, so your description. How do you make a super effective description? Well, a lot of people like to use something called the ADA framework. This is basically just a formula of writing that can take your customer through a series of emotion where at the end of it, they want to buy your book because you took them through a journey of them understanding your book, which makes them more likely to buy. But what does ADA mean? ADA is attention, interest, desire, and then action. Personally, I don't really use the ADA framework 100%, but for beginners, if you've never written a description and you're not quite sure how to put everything or when to put everything, following this framework is super, super easy. So attention. This is basically just the first line of your description, and everyone gets to see this because Amazon doesn't hide it. So your attention can simply be a small headline. Now you've done your research, so you know what's valuable to your customer. You know what your customer's searching for. So you want your headline to basically say, oh, look at me, read me. You want something that's instantly going to hook them. So if I was doing the animal encyclopedia that we're talking about, one of my headlines might be, discover the 101 craziest animals in the world. And that would just be my attention headline, my hook. And then once they see that, they can click on read more, and then the description is going to expand and they can start reading the rest. Now, usually I ignore the interest and desires. And what I do instead is I talk about the features and benefits. Why is this so important? Because the features are basically you listing out all the things that are included in your book that are valuable to the customer. So it can be illustrations that you have inside the book. It can be images. It can be the amount. So the amount of animals that we have in our book. It can be the information that we have in our book. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take each one of these features and think of a benefit. Why does your customer even care about the feature in your book? Why do they care that there's illustration? Well, maybe they care that there's illustrations because it makes it super easy to understand. And if you're buying a book for kids, you want it to be easy to understand. What about if there's images? What if there's images, then maybe they can see an animal up close. They can't see the animal up close in real life, so the kids can get to see the details of the animals. Now, the amount and information can just be one benefit. So we have 100 animals completely packed with information. So what's that benefit for the kid? Is that they can expand their knowledge on animals and they can be the smartest people when it comes to animals. Or maybe one of their dream is to become a photographer for National Geographic. Or maybe they just like to have a job with animals later on. You can add that as a benefit. Oh, this book, the information in here might help you become an animal explorer or whatever. You're going to go through the niche and you're going to think of all the features of your book and all your benefits. And we're going to talk about features and benefits much deeper and in a lot more detail when it comes to the A+ content module, because that's way more important than your description. No one actually reads your description. I never read descriptions, but what I do is what everyone actually does is they just simply read the bullet points. So you might have your headline here. So this is your headline and you want this to attract attention. Then underneath, you might have a small paragraph where we can talk about the features and benefits, like I told you, features and benefits. So you can have 2 features and 2 benefits. Here's a feature of my book. Here's why it's important to you. Second sentence, here's another feature. Here's why it's important to you or your kid. Now, once you finish those, you're going to have a section here with bullet points. These bullet points are also going to be features and benefits. And you can list out the same features and benefits here as long as you have 4 bullet points or 3 bullet points, but just don't have any less than 3 because your book doesn't seem very valuable when there's only 2 bullet points. So have 3 or more bullet points. And here is going to be feature and then benefit. And again, feature and benefit. Feature and benefit. There's going to be one sentence, but you start the sentence off with the feature because that's the thing that they care about the least, and you end the sentence with the benefit because people only care about their own benefits, and you want to end the sentence with what people care about. Now, if you come up with 3 or 4 bullet points, great. You can take these first 2 bullet points and add them in a paragraph up here, and take the last 2 bullet points and just reword them for another paragraph under your bullet points. So this bullet point might talk about the images and why it's beneficial to see the images. Then this bullet point might talk about the illustrations or the annotations that you have inside and how it's very easy to understand and easy to read and easy to remember. Maybe this bullet point talks about there's over 150 facts in the book. Why is that a benefit? Because it expands your knowledge. You know secrets that other people don't know. And the last bullet point can say about how it's colored images. So they get to see everything in bright colors and real life textures and blah, blah, blah. You can make up some things. You know your book better than I know your book. As long as you can list out all the features of your book, which can be your illustrations, your images, you've done your niche research correctly. So you know what your competitors have and what you have differently. You know all the features that they have, and you know all the features that you have. and you went through your reviews and you know what people are looking for. So you know how to turn those features into benefits because you know your customer better than anyone else. So the first 2 bullet points up here and the last 2 bullet points down here. And then finally, you want to have some text that says, discover this new book, go and buy it. Go up and buy the book. Scroll up and buy your book. You can just have a random sentence. The sentence can be, are you ready to discover the 101 most amazing animals of the world? Scroll up and buy your copy today. That is going to be your call to action. Now, usually people are just going to go on the description, look at the description, and just read the bullet points, and then that's it. They're going to go down to the reviews. So your description it's not the most important thing in the world to make it as professionally as possible, but it is very important that you make a big description. Why is it so important that you actually make a big description? Because in the previous video, we were talking about your keywords and how you can add certain keywords and search terms in your description. Now, the more words you have in your description, the more space you have to put the keywords in. If you only have 2 paragraphs, you don't have a lot of space to add 5 different search terms. But if you have 10 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs and bullet points, you have a lot more space to subtly put those search terms. And how do we do that? So one of the most important things when it comes to your description is that you don't want big blocky paragraphs. Let's say these are sentences. If this is what your description looks like, just one big blocky paragraph, no one wants to read it because you automatically look at it and you're like, that looks like a lot of effort. But if you take the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. If you take these same 8 lines and you separate them like that, or maybe this one's here, then this looks like it's much easier to read, even though it's not 8 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So now it's like 3 separate paragraphs, and it's much easier on the eye and it's much more skimmable because people on Amazon are not sitting there to read, they're there to skim. They want to get the information as quickly as possible. So make sure you break up your paragraphs and break up your text as much as you can because it's a much more skimmable and easier to read description. Now, another thing you can do is make your description actually nice to look at visually wise. And how do you do that? Well, one thing you can do is you can make some words bold. What happens when you make words bold? You instantly draw attention to those words. You want the words that show the benefits to be bold. So if the benefits is that your child can learn 10 times faster, then 10 times faster is going to be in bold. Because if someone clicks on your description and only reads your bold pieces of text, in their mind, they need to know, oh, I get this, I get this, I get this. The benefits are the important part. And you can make some words bold so you can draw their attention to the benefits. No one cares what your book is or what your book has to offer. They only care what the book can do for them. So make sure you make your benefits bold. Draw the person's attention to your bold letters, to the benefit. Another thing you can do is you can make some things italic. Now, italic, this is just when the words are a little bit bent. I usually make my book title italic. That's basically it. Italic doesn't really draw your attention. So I just make the book title italic so people can see that I'm talking about the book title. Now, finally, you can put some underline as well. What do I like to underline? Same thing, the benefits, or you can even underline features or underline important words. Underlining is slightly less attention grabbing than bold because bold is dark and your eyes automatically are drawn to it. Underline is just a line under your text. It's not any darker. You just draw more attention. This draws the most attention. This draws the second most attention. And then this draws the least amount of attention, which is why I use my book title for italics. I use benefits in bold, and then I just underline some important words or features or little benefits. So if you implement these 3 in your description and you break everything up into small paragraphs and you have your bullet points, then you can make a very nice, visually appealing description. Because I promise no one is going to sit and read your description from start to finish. They're just going to skim it. So your job is to make it first look as visually appealing as possible in order to get them to read at least your bullet points. Or if they're not going to read your bullet points, at least they're going to read the bold parts and the underlined parts. Because that way you're constantly conveying the message that your book is valuable. You want to tell them how valuable your book is using your description. But now, what's the most important part of your description? Even if you ignore everything else I said right now about the description, what I'm about to show you now is the most important part. You cannot ignore this. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about SEO, your search engine optimization. This is basically how you help Amazon index your book for more keywords. And like we said before, you can insert keywords in your description so you can index for them and show up and get some sales or relevant keywords. But you have to do it very subtly. So if someone does read your description, they can't tell that you're just doing it for the keywords. Okay, so I might have 2 sentences in my description. That's not my whole description. This is just 2 sentences out of the many in the description. One of my sentences might be, discover over 100 awesome animals in this educational encyclopedia for kids. It sounds like a normal sentence, but you know that discover over 100 awesome animals in this educational encyclopedia for kids. Which one do you think is the search term? It's educational encyclopedia for kids. Amazon's going to go in, read the sentence, and it's going to extract educational encyclopedia for kids. And now I can index for that keyword. I also have the keyword animals here. So it knows that it's an educational encyclopedia for kids, and it also has animals in it. Even though it's separated, even though in this is in the middle, Amazon is smart enough to pick up the keywords and mix and match them. Now let's look at our second sentence. This is a different sentence in the same description. You're going to have your little ones will fall in love with the colored images in this fun animal book. Well, now we have Amazon knows that there's colored images. So if one of your keywords has the word colored images inside, because sometimes people search for cookbooks and they want cookbooks with colored images, because there's a lot of cookbooks out there that are just black and white. So Amazon now knows colored images and can index you for the keyword colored images. So anyone that types in animal book with colored images for kids, you can index. And then finally, I have animal book as well. This is a short tail keyword, which is completely fine. In your description, you can add long tail keywords like this one, and you're going to have short tail keywords like this one, and you can just index for all of them. Now, like I said, I like to have around 2 to 5 different keywords in the description, but be careful not to overstuff. Now, a lot of people ask me, can I repeat the same keywords? You can repeat the same short tail keywords, but because you only have a limited amount of space for the search terms and keywords that you can have inside, it's better to mix and match short tail and long tail. But don't repeat your long tail keywords, because you just need it once. If you have your long tail keyword once, you already index for it. You don't have to repeat it. You're not going to index better if you repeat the keyword. So as long as you make your description visually appealing, you have your bullet points inside, you talk about the features and benefits, and you also hide subtly some search terms and keywords in your description, you're going to do amazingly well.